When I was in my late 40s, I took up boxing, started boxing well into middle age. At the time, I was probably 30 pounds overweight, medium athletic ability, I would say. Why did I take it up? I wanted to. And I think the only way to grow as a man is to try something new, different, difficult, especially if it's something you enjoy. That's where I met a great coach who's become a friend. His name is Simon, and he inspires folks to be their best physically, in the ring, and out. And that's what I want to do for you, man, and for ourselves, to be our best physically, mentally, too, spiritually. Enjoy the interview. Today, I want to introduce everybody to my previous boxing trainer. This guy's awesome. We met in LA, and eventually I fell in love with the sport quite a lot. And he's the one that really gave me a lot of that passion and a lot of the opportunity to see, oh, yeah, this can be a lot of fun, getting in shape, beating up other men, being beat up by other men, right? Because it's actually just as fun. It's really an exchange, and this guy's awesome. So anyway, that's where we met. That's kind of the background. And eventually he moved away and formed his own family. And the interesting thing, too, about this guy is that he took his wife from a beautiful high-rise right in downtown LA and somehow took her on the adventure of a lifetime by moving way out to Central Asia, basically the steppes of that part of the world, which is Azerbaijan and the country of Georgia. These are former Soviet republics around the Caspian and Baltic, Caspian and Black Seas. I'll put up a map here in a moment so we can see kind of where he's gone. And then ultimately he moved back to a beautiful but frigid area in the United States, which is Upper Peninsula, Michigan, and lived there with a wife and now two daughters in places that are just, for most of us, would just be intolerable, right? I like the sunny, warm, cozy LA vibes, right? But this guy was like, nope. Come on, baby. We're going to go live where it's 40 below in the winter and it's dark for 4 months straight. That's the kind of shit, right, that this guy enjoys and the kind of a thing that he considers an adventure in life. And he's a pretty cool dude on top of it all. So we met while fighting, and here we are today talking for about 15 minutes. Tell us why and how the hell you made it out to Central Asia, and what was that like? What was that like? A little background.
Well, I guess start with the birth of my first child. She was born in a small country, Azerbaijan, and it's near Turkey, between Turkey and Russia. I kind of picked it because I was doing some tech stuff and it seemed like a traditional country, a good place to try out. And so we went over there. I was there 2 years, and my first daughter was born there.
Okay, so in the middle of this tour around the world, right, this whirlwind fun adventure that you've been living yourself, your family. Tell us about Upper Peninsula, Michigan. One of the things you did up there to survive and feed your family was hunting and trapping. Now, I know you've done hunting in your past, but not a lot of trapping. Tell us about that.
Oh, I'd done some hunting when I was a kid. My uncle was a pheasant hunter, so I had some experience with hunting and kind of going out and doing that kind of stuff. But trapping was pretty new to me, but I always was interested in it. I didn't really understand it very well. So I just started. We had a little local library there in the village there. So it's a small town of like 1,500 people, but they still had a pretty nice little library. They had these old trapper books, so I was just kind of reading through them and reading about the culture, and then talking to some of the local guys there. Their family's been trapping for 100 years or whatever.
It's amazing, right? The traditional ways, the way these guys raise and slaughter their animals, honestly, is how all of humanity did it until not very long ago. I mean, we're talking 3-4 generations at the most, right? But anyway, tell me a little bit about, is there a family involved? Is there a tribe involved when you're slaughtering a sheep? And what's that process like? I mean, what the hell?
One fast thing I learned out there is the way that they slaughter is here. Well, at least I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I've seen it like in Mexico and in the South. They'll just kind of slit the throat of the animal, drain the blood out. It's kind of more what I've used to see. But they do a very interesting technique when taking out the sheep. Is they make an incision right at where near the stomach is, stick their hand in, and they sever the aorta with their thumbnail, so the sheep bleeds out internally, and then they just pour out the blood that way. So essentially, you're just giving the sheep a heart attack. It just falls asleep. That's what it looks like. It's a very painless process. Wow. Obviously, it takes years, I'm sure, to master that, to how to get that in there and sever the right part and all this kind of thing. But that was pretty fascinating. And I mean, they had that thing, skinned, gutted, and cleaned and ready to go in 5 minutes after that. So it was a really efficient way of.
What?
Yeah, it was
Shit.
pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. And it
How
was
many
funny
men
because,
did it take to skin one sheep?
yeah, and well, it only took, let's see, there was about 3 of them. 2 guys, really. It takes 2 guys, and they do it pretty quick. And they had the little son. He must have been, I don't know, 2 years old. He's coming out with a red hot knife. You know, they trained young how to get the knife ready to make the incision and all this stuff. And I was just laughing to myself, thinking if they do that in the States, that kid's gonna get taken away and everything else.
So one of the things I know you were able to capitalize on is the fact that you were excellent at Uber back in the day, made a Uber business out of that skill set, and ultimately used that and leveraged that in order to collect data while driving. And you did that also out in Asia, which to me is incredible, right? The fact that you could take just any old skill set, and if you're open enough, and if you're curious enough, and if you're hungry enough as a man, you can make something out of it and really go for it. Tell us a little bit more there.
It just kind of by necessity, I just stumbled upon it. Uber was really big in Los Angeles where I was living. This must have been 2016 or so. And there was a lot of opportunities just to kind of, just an Uber by itself, just for the referral program. I figured out a way to really, to leverage the referrals to make a nice little side business out of that. So I had 2 cars actually, one that I rented through Uber and then a second one. And there was actually another company, it's now defunct, it was called Evercar. They had electric cars. So I would kind of rotate these different cars through, and then I would get other people that would meet, like, hey, are you interested in driving Uber? Because you get a bonus if they would do X amount of rides. I think it was 50 rides or something. I would get $1,000 and they would get $1,000. Some insane program, Uber was giving away. And then I figured out another hack in that area was, and anywhere on the USC campus, those all counted towards the rides, and those kids would get free rides. Uber worked out a deal with USC, so it was just like just easy hustle. You could just get into that kind of USC. Was that like Figueroa, between Fig and Vermont and Washington and whatever Jefferson or something like that. In that little grid there, students could take rides certain times of the day for free, and the school comp it. So they would just abuse it, of course. These kids would just take rides everywhere.
You turned something that was just a hustle, right? Just a hustle with Uber into a legit business. And then ultimately, you were able to sell that data that you collected, gathering it from this, this low budget machine really, or camera, or basically a phone with a nice camera on it that you had embedded in the, the front of the rear view mirror up there on the windshield. You were able to collect that data and sell it to vendors and high-tech companies that were providing this kind of data to Tesla at the time, because Tesla was working on, and they were one of the leaders in self-driving technology, right? Trying to get cars to drive themselves. So tell us a little bit about that, which you just took from a pure hustle, frankly, and turned it into something legit. Now, don't get me wrong, your Uber biz in the States, you went from being a driver to being a 6-figure plus individual in the Uber realm, and now you took this and made it into a technology venture out in Central Asia.
What kind of turned into that is I found out about this young guy that was doing the self-driving stuff. You and I were fascinated with the Tesla technologies, about the self-driving stuff, and I found that guy that was doing the aftermarket kits that you could put in the Honda Civic and give you the hands-free kind of self-driving stuff, but they needed a lot of data, so that I put those kits in the car. So then now I'm getting data for that, which were being exchanged on the blockchain, and I could sell that data to other startup companies, which I was doing. I was selling data to other startups in San Francisco and these other companies that were looking to kind of get into the data game.
And by the way, when I hear your stories, I think to myself, well, geez, I'm not a scientist. How does this guy figure it out? But you're not a scientist, are you? You're not an engineer. Tell us about that. What the heck?
No, I'm definitely not. I'm just I'm just a boxer guy. I really just have no tech. I mean, I know basic tech understanding, but I'm not like a programmer or a designer or, I don't know any of this stuff really. But it just, like you said, I just saw an opportunity there. It made sense. I was like, well, I mean, the market's shifted quite a bit now. I don't know if you could replicate that exact thing these days, because I think companies are going different directions now. I think they're starting to realize self-driving isn't what they thought it was going to be 5 years ago. But it's still, I mean, there's always opportunities for something. So I'm sure there's something else out there.
Hey, finally, what was the procedure by which you imported cars? To me, this is fascinating, into the countries of Georgia and Azerbaijan. Logistically, how the hell did that happen? How did you figure it out?
Yep. And that's all off the Black Sea there, out of Georgia. So they would come in from the States. It take about 60 days to get there, but we bring them across from there.
One question I forgot to ask you earlier is, are your parents Azeri? Or are you a fluent Georgian speaker? Or do you have just wonderful Turkish skills or Russian or something like that? What is that? What did you go in armed with, linguistically speaking?
Nope. You just kind of figure it out as you go. You make connections with people that can speak it, and you just, business is a business language. I mean, business is business. You can figure things out with numbers.
Bro, I appreciate you. And I just think you're the best example that I know in my personal realm of men who have taken whatever God has given them, whatever much or little or medium it is, right? And just you're constantly turning it into something. You're just maximizing your blessings and just saying thank you and growing as a man. I just love it. I'm grateful to you. So thank you so much.
I invite you to join the conversation with myself and other men and what we're all doing to find that inner savage and bring them to life. Not only for our benefit, but for the benefit of those around us, people we care about. All right, man, stay strong.